What is up, my ninjas? This is Strident here. I apologize for the background noise. It's pretty quiet in the house, but I got the AC running. Um, yeah, I'm back with a little bit of a super overly joyous review about or maybe even just a thoughts segment on Thundercats. Yes, I grew up with Thundercats. I but I don't have the relationship some people have with this series. Um, when I was a kid, I figured out early on, just like I did with He-Man, how non-violent and how contradictory the show was. You know, characters carrying guns and swords and evil-looking characters and badass-looking characters, but nobody actually fights. You know, the fights were all what's the word? They gave you an idea of a fight, you know? It was like implied combat, but not very much actual full on combat. And, you know, so I watched a couple episodes. I see different seasons over the years, and then I kind of, I just let it fall to the wayside. But I always admired the characters. Actually, in school, when I was in college, I did an animation of a reimagining of the opening, but and unfortunately that's been lost with all my VHS tapes, lost in a nice little flooding at an apartment with my old roommates. But I do have the designs, which I'll put up. And as you can see, I always wanted Lino to look more like a more regal and more badass at the same time, because I always hated the whole John Travolta slash Cats the play design that the Cats used to have. I mean, I get it; it's simple. I was definitely inspired probably by that, but I felt like there needed to be more of an alien feel to them. Now, the series, these guys were thinking along the lines of what I was thinking of, which makes me really happy. Um, this series it feels very much in vein of the He-Man reboot back in 2002. Um, I'm thoroughly impressed. Um, Before I didn't really care, you know, I was kind of impartial because they're rebooting everything from our childhood, and it's like really not that much of a reason to get excited because you can clearly see the formulas these days. I mean, I know some of the younger fans out there and the newer generations that miss these things the first time around. They're just like, who gives a shit? It's Thundercats, you know. Um, those of you who aren't otakus, you know, these are quote unquote American franchises. You know, these things were created for American audiences, and they did better over here than they did in Asia. But, you know, not to say that I have friends from Singapore and friends from Hong Kong that grew up on this stuff too. You know, so it's not to say that it's not appreciated overseas as well. But anyway, um, impressive, super impressive show. I've watched every episode so far. The opening episode was kind of, you know, it was interesting because it showed you a lot of backstory, but it was confusing because I didn't realize, or let me rephrase that. I was expecting, you know, the whole Third Earth story. But they spent a long time actually before you ever really hear about Third Earth, which is awesome, you know? It's kind of nice that they paid attention to aspects of the lore that actually did make sense, and they just expanded on those parts. That's what I've always wanted to see. And this is coming from a Japanese studio. I've got to look up which studio it is. But overall, it's an awesome cartoon. This is what anime should be. And the fact that it's an anime based on a Japanese animated American franchise, it's kind of like, I don't know. It's like, I don't want to say it's mind-blowing, but it's kind of, it's heartwarming to some degree. Um, I was really proud of the fact that you get to see your characters grown up. There's a lot of legacy involved, and legacy is my favorite thing that seems to be neglected in so many different series. And I don't know. I just can't stop saying how impressed I am with this thing. All the characters have been upgraded. They're not just kind of, a stereotype. All of them are fully realized characters. There are a couple changes. Tigra and Lionel are brothers. Panthro, I was kind of scared about how they were going to handle Panthro, but Panthro is pretty cool. They did a good job giving us a version of him that shows that time has passed. It shows that he's aged. He's not just a little, this young, eternally young, badass, muscular character. He's actually older, like very old. And well, not very old. He's not Yoda old, but he's like middle-aged, I'll put, He's losing, he had hair for a while, he's losing the hair, he's got the big mutton chops, he's got scars all over his body. You can tell he's just been through the shit, which is awesome. The animation was done by Studio 4C in conjunction with Warner Brothers Animation. Big surprise there. It says Warner Brothers, the animation is going to be the shit. But it's just awesome how they explain all this stuff. You do still get the destruction of Thundera. You do still get the whole Sword of Omens, the Tower of Omens, the Book of Omens. You get a lot of the stuff that already existed in the original lore, but they put small twists on how we get to those things. I'm going to try not to give away anything important, because I think that if you guys dig animation, if you guys, you children of the 80s out there, if you guys dig, the Thundercats, and you wish that someone would do this stuff justice, this is the series that you need to check out. If you dig anime, you should check it out, because on the surface you have an anime package, but you dig a little deeper and you have a very well told epic. Every episode feels like its own epic, and they almost all could stand alone, as separate stories, but they're all connected, interconnected, that, with bigger arcs, hidden or included in the storytelling. I gotta praise this thing, but there's a downside to this. The downside is, much like with the He-Man reboot in 2002, hardcore fans are going to bitch and moan about how it's not what they grew up on, and that I don't know about how that's going to work. You know what I mean? It kind of bothers me, because this show, a lot of love was put into it, and you can see it. It feels epic on the level that Avatar is, and like the way that He-Man series was, and the way that Justice League Unlimited is. If you know these characters, you see them in this world and in this new story, and everything fits kind of the way that you would have imagined if you were a little bit more mature when you first saw this stuff, because the characters were well done back in the day. They had decent personalities. It's just that they were like a couple steps from being fully realized, because it was aimed at children, so they didn't feel the need to go any further than just, this is the leader character, this is the young character that all we want the kids to like, this is the badass that we want the kids to idolize. Every character had a very specific formula behind them. Now those formulas are still intact, but now we get a full-on characterization, as opposed to just, Panther comes in, cue theme music, badass act, and then you go on with the story with the corny moral to it, There's a whole lot of Easter eggs for those of you who really grew up on this stuff. All you children of the 80s, unite. There's stuff like Silverhawks references and the Thundercats outtake archive stuff. It's just crazy. I mean, as I was watching it, I literally was like laughing out loud when I heard some of these things, or I'm screaming out like, "Oh shit, that's so and so!" And it's just crazy that they put that. They even have a Tiger Sharks reference in here, and that was another cartoon on the comic strip back in the I want to say late 80s, early 90s, and it's the Tiger Sharks was done by the same studio that did Silverhawks and Thundercats, and they actually make a reference to those characters in one of the episodes. I was just like, wow, somebody actually gave a shit, much like the He-Man from 2002. And it pisses me off greatly how that series didn't get the love it deserved. I mean, it got cut off right before they were about to end one of the better storylines. Actually, they were just kind of beginning a storyline, because I think King Hiss was just getting ready to, get to start doing shit. But anyway, a lot of love went into this, and you can tell the people working on it love it just as much as we did. Probably more. At least in my case, they definitely loved it more than me. I liked certain characters. The only Thundercats character I had was Panthro. Because, I mean, come on. I'm a Bruce Lee fanatic, and here's a dude with nunchucks flipping around with ninja boots on. It's like, come on. He was like tailor-made for children growing up in that era, for little boys that growing up in that era who were into martial arts and Bruce Lee and ninjas and, just all that stuff, The music in this show, I don't know who did the music, but it's amazing stuff. I hope they release the score on its own, because for a TV show, on Cartoon Network, they really went all out. The effects are awesome. The animation is pretty good. It's some of the best animation that I've seen in a long time, considering that, this is going to be, if it does well, it's going to be a regular, weekly, or I'm sorry, daily show at some point, I don't know pretty much how Cartoon Network is doing this. I've been watching my episodes right here on YouTube. But hopefully they'll treat this like a regular, TV show, and give it its 30-minute slot and just let it play once a week, so that we don't have to have 5 billion episodes for a season. It could just be 12 a season or something like that. You know what I mean? Or like 24 a season or something. And that would be awesome if they do that. I don't know. That's wishful thinking. It'll probably be less episodes, but however they do it, I'm on board fully. I've seen the toys in the stores, and I was kind of like, Panther looks cool, but I want to see what they do with him on the show before I pick up the figure, because I don't want him to be whack, and then I got this big old $20 figure. Now, I'm a little bit intrigued, and I kind of want to have those guys up in my collection, because I missed them the first time, So, I think this is a good show to get on board. If you haven't seen any of this stuff ahead of time, check it out. It's worth watching in its entirety. There's 7 episodes out right now. You can find all 7 on YouTube. Hopefully, hurry up and watch them before YouTube pulls them. I'm pretty sure some of the anime websites will have this stuff up there, so you'll be able to watch it in its entirety on those sites outside of YouTube. And then if you want to do it the traditional way and you want to wait, then you can always catch them on Cartoon Network. The voice acting is amazing. Will Friedle, who used to be Terry McGinnis's voice on Batman Beyond and Justice League Unlimited, he's Lionel. At first, I thought this is going to be funny, but it's actually really well done. He fits. I'm only going to mention the people worth mentioning. Groon is voiced by Clancy Brown, who was Lex Luthor on Superman and Justice League Unlimited, and in a couple of the straight-to-DVD movies that they did. And, of course, he's good at being a bad guy. He does an awesome job. You'll notice his voice as soon as you hear him. Corey Burton, he's another one. I think he voices, I want to say Tigra, but I could be wrong. No, Jaga, sorry. And he does a really good job. Really, really good job. Kevin Michael Richardson. As soon as you hear his voice, you're going to know who I'm talking about. He voiced the Joker in The Batman. He's, I think he was also the voice of Roadblock on G.I. Joe Renegades, and he does an awesome job, awesome job in this show as Panthro. It's like there's nothing else to say. He's just amazing. So anyway, that's the majority of what I need to say about this show. What you need to know is it's awesome. It's got my seal of approval, if that means anything, which is just a big thumbs up with giant puppy dog eyes, you know, and stars in them and everything. You know, it's just, if I felt like I was a little kid watching this show again. So check it out if you get a chance. It's 100 and it's 5 billion% worth it so far. I hope they continue this way. I hope they don't drop the ball. I hope that fans give it the love it deserves, so it does not fall into the same shit heap that the 2002 He-Man show ended up in. I really hate when you see a good show and it doesn't get the attention that it deserves, and it ends up just going to shit because people are just like, meh. So check it out, and that's it for me, guys. You've been great. I will hit you up later. Peace, people.